Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. So I've decided there's going to be some things I do, such as like Mondays or Wednesdays I'll release psychology stuff, and Fridays I'll release like tarot and Wicca based stuff because I kind of want to incorporate that into my practice in a sense, because I know there are a lot of other people out there who feel like the outcast and they don't can't come to a professional and like really disguise this or let this they disguise who they are. I have someone who is in my life that has gone to a therapist and tried to explain their religious beliefs, and this person just turned them away because of their religious beliefs. And if you didn't know, this is actually an ethical violation. So this person, I wish I knew who it was so I could report them, because ethical violations along the matters, you can tell someone you can't work with them because you just don't have that rapport, but to tell them you can't work with them because of their religious affiliation, that is an ethical violation. I'm not sure what states actually, if at all, if all states have that, but I know here in Colorado that's an ethical violation. So today I'm just going to go back to the start and bring psychology in from one aspect. So the aspect I'm going to bring in from today is prior to your 18th birthday, there is a bunch of 10 questions you can answer and see if you follow along the lines of having any kind of adverse childhood experiences. And it's more like traumatic style. So this could be sexual, mental health, behaviorally, in any sense of that nature. So the first question I start off with is, did a parent or other adult in the household often or very often swear at you, insult you, put you down, or humiliate you, act in a way that made you afraid that you might be physically hurt? So if this one, let's say if there is a yes or a no, you would put that in there. So you answer yes or no. And for me, let's just say I'm pretty sure I've done this before and I scored an 8. So I would have childhood trauma. And this isn't for a sob story. This isn't for people to like feel, oh, poor you, or get the sympathy. But I want you to be able to follow along and try and do this as well. See what your actions were like, so you can kind of like get a visualization of where you are now. So some people overcome trauma, and some people have a hard time dealing with trauma. In this case, yes, I did have a parent who did that. My dad used to swear at me, call me a fag, and say very awful things to me sometimes. So it was very rough growing up with him. Later on in life, he was a lot nicer about it. I know he didn't accept the fact that I was LGBT, but hey, I tell my clients all the time, not most of the time you're not going to have a family that's possibly blood related. You create your own family, especially in the LGBT community. We're each other's family, we're each other's supporters. That's why I believe equality among everyone. The human race should be equal. We should still be fighting the fact that there is sexism, racism, and homophobia. Primarily right now, a lot of people don't know that there's a lot of transphobia out there. A lot of trans lives are getting taken because it's not accepted. People don't understand it, and that's because we're not educating people on it, and we need to educate our children on what this is, or we're going to keep continuously building this monster that one day we might not be able to stop. So, question 2, did a parent or other adult in the household often or very often push, grab, slap, or throw something at you, or even hit you so hard that you had marks on your or were injured? This again would be yes for me. And this went beyond just spankings, because again, some of us grew up in a time where spanking was okay. It wasn't looked at as abuse. Nowadays, it would be looked at as abuse. And there were some times where my dad would spank me and he would leave a bruise. There were times where he would get so intoxicated that he one time threw something at me and it left a huge mark on my arm. When me and my brother got into a fight once, he lifted me by my shirt and hit me in my lip and busted my lip open. So he was very much an alcoholic, and I know a lot of people out there know exactly how this feels. It's a very rough feeling. So number 2, yes or no. Number 3, did an adult or person at least 5 years older than you ever touch or fondle you, or have you touch their body in a sexual way, or attempt or actually have oral, anal, or vaginal intercourse with you. This again was yes for me. When I was about 5 or 6, my dad's friend, I can't remember her name, I think her name was Lisa. Uh, we were at her house and she cornered me while there was no one else around. And this is the first time I remember anyone ever trying to stick their tongue in my mouth. And so that was I didn't know what to do with that. When you're a kid, you don't know what to do with that. So I didn't chalk it up until I was older that I knew I was sexually assaulted by a woman. Number 4, did you often or very often feel that no one in your family loved you or thought you were important or special, or your family didn't look out for each other, feel close to each other, or support each other? See, my sister was my best friend, so this is a very iffy question for me. So I can't say no one, did you often or very often feel that no one in your family felt that way towards me, because my sister was my best friend. So I generally leave this one as a no, because me and my sister were best friends and I had her. If I didn't have her, this would be a definitely yes, because me and my brother didn't get along growing up. He would tell people at school sometimes to beat me up, and he's a lot cooler now, but when we were younger, we were always at each other's throat. Like, I mean, we did not like each other. This wasn't even borderline hate, it was hate. We did not like each other. Nowadays we can actually talk and it's very civil. And that's mostly because we dealt with a very abusive father, a very, very controlling person. So, my brother went through a lot of shit with him too, being the golden star child. So I get where he had a lot of frustration. So I don't really take anything out of him because he learned it from my father. Number 5, did you often or very often feel that you didn't have enough to eat, had to wear dirty clothes, and no one had to protect you? Or your parents were too drunk or high to take care of you or take you to the doctor if you needed it? I never went to the doctor. I never went to the dentist. I didn't go to the dentist until I was 16. I didn't go to the doctor unless I was dying, pretty much. So I was in the hospital for over a month because I got this huge jaw infection, and my dad treated it like it was a burden to him. And I still remember how he talked about it. My mom was very cool, but she didn't live with me. My dad was very neglectful. He smoked in front of us, so we reeked of cigarette smoke going to school. People would mention it and tease us about it. I don't know if my sister or brother got teased about it, but I got teased about it. So it was very humiliating, so I rate this one as a yes. Number 6, were your parents ever separated or divorced? Yes, very young age. My mom left my dad at a very young age because he was very emotionally abusive to her, and she just couldn't take it anymore, so she just left. Don't blame her, because it's very hard to deal with someone who is that kind of mean. It's one thing to be like physically abusive, but when you're emotionally abusive, it's on another level. I think sometimes it can hurt more to be emotionally abusive than be physically abusive, because those scars go away. Internal scars are hard to deal with if you can't deal with them. Number 7, was your mother or stepmother often or very often pushed, grabbed, slapped, or had something thrown at her, or sometimes often or very often kicked, bitten, hit with a fist, or hit with something hard, ever repeatedly hit over at least a few minutes, or threatened with a gun or knife? So I didn't grow up with a mom, so I can't say yes or no to this. So this one I can't really say yes or no to, so I'm just going to say no. However, if they did stay together, probably yes, because my dad was very hands-on. But I'm just going to leave this one as a no right now. I know that's why my mom left, is because he was emotionally abusive. Number 8, did you live with anyone who was a problem drinker or alcoholic, or who used street drugs? At the time, marijuana was illegal, so my dad did do that very seldomly around us. I caught him like twice smoking weed with his friends. When we get down to alcoholic, though, that man drank every day. Every day when he was home, he was drinking. I saw him drink way more alcohol than I ever saw him drink water. I learned how to bartend at the age of like 7 or 8, so that tells you how much of a drinker he was. Number 9, was a household member depressed or mentally ill, or did a household member attempt suicide? Before 18, my dad was drinking himself to death. Well, I don't know if it was like intentional suicide, but he was drinking himself to just to death. And yes, he was depressed and mentally ill. He had mental health problems. So I didn't know that until after I was 18. My family actually told me that. So I got the I got to live a very filtered version of what my brother and sister knew. However, I still dealt with a lot of it. Uh, and then the last one, 10, did a household member go to prison? Yes, and this was a family member. I don't want to give away their identity because it's just not cool for them. Yes, they went to prison. They did something really stupid, and they ended up in prison. So those are the 10 questions that you go over with the adverse childhood experiences, and it kind of measures like the different levels of trauma. So on that scale, I scored 8 out of 10. 9 out of 10 if I knew if my mother or stepmother, my dad didn't get remarried because not a lot of women, I think he would, I can't even say it, so I'm not even gonna say what he was like because I wasn't in that man's head. I tried not to be. Um, but this is a very important thing I think to put out there so people can actually test themselves. And to be very honest, you want to make sure that when you're running through this actually was something that you can say yes or no to. If you're saying I don't know, maybe, and then you put yes, that's gonna, I would say, really think about it. If you're having issues remembering things, go to a mental health therapist and talk to them about this because again, therapy is something that's very helpful on so many levels. Seeing a psychologist, a psychiatrist, if may. I'm somebody who believes that psych meds are only needed as like you need them, like bipolar medications or schizophrenia medications, things that really help ground you. Sometimes people do need depression medications, and some people don't realize that some medications aren't forever. They're just for now. They're to help balance you. So you don't have to be on medication the rest of your life with some mental health illnesses. Some help keep you balanced. Like it's it's not always known, so I want to put it out there, and that's why I wanted to kind of do psychology in this. I may be a little baffled right now because I'm still halfway through my doctorate in psychology, and I'm not a psychologist yet, and I hope to be one day. Um, but it's all it's all something I want to help the environment with. I want people to realize that there is help out there, and they should be able to have it if you can get Medicaid, if your work covers it, if it's something that's a possibility and you're feeling mentally stressed, do it because the only thing that can come from it is more knowledge. Uh, some therapists you might not work well with. Some therapists might be like not your cup of tea, and that's that building rapport with them. So if that's one of those cases, I get it. You can bounce to another therapist. If that therapist is denying you because of something, report it. Report it, report it, report it. If it's them not being able to do therapy with you because they say you're gay or because you're black or because you're a certain religion, that's not cool. We learn, and again, I've done a lot of therapy classes. I almost finished a complete degree in marriage, family, couple counseling. It's something that you can't turn somebody away for. The only reason you can turn someone away is because you just aren't building that rapport. They're not giving you enough, or you're feeling like you're not helping them, because that can be ethically incorrect too. If a if a professional is still billing you and you're getting nowhere with it, that's ethically incorrect. So some tidbits for this is just psychology information. In the future, I want to do more videos on like certain psychologists, certain tests and assessments like the adverse childhood experiences, because some of them are very interesting. I worked as a sex offender therapist. I've worked as a mental health therapist. I've never worked as a drug and alcohol therapist, although I'm learning about that too. I've taken classes, and I do want to get licensed in that as well because I just want to work in all areas. I really want to help people because I know what mental health looks like. I've been there. I've been at the darkest point of your life, and turning around is very enlightening. It's the enlightenment behind it is just it's it's unexplainable. It's just it just is, if that makes sense. And I want people to have that as well. and not feel like they're lost. If the people in your life aren't really being your cup of tea, go out there and branch out. Find people who can be your cup of tea, because you're not the only person in the world that feels alone. We all have at some points. Just rely on the people you do have that you know you can trust. Remember, family's not always blood. You can always make your own family. And there's 8 billion people on this planet, so there's lots to choose from. Just remember, if you ever need help, look for it, Google it. If you want to come here and just chat, if you want to learn about something, I love researching psychology. So if you have anything you want to research or learn, put it in here, and maybe I already know it and I can do a video on it. I just want to help people. And other than that, I hope you all have an amazing day, and tune in for more psychology stuff. Talk to you later.